Thank you. Today I've been asked to speak on basically one topic, the overarching trends of fraud in the past few years. We will take a look at a bit larger time span to see how the threats of fraud in Latvia have developed over the years, and especially digital fraud. And in the second part of my presentation, I will also touch upon the fraud concerning legal persons. So let's start. Let's start with the first slide. So I'm doing the slides. Sorry for that. I apologize for the Latvian on this slide. Approximately 15 minutes ago, I was convinced. And what this basically means is when someone gains illegal access to your payment card or to your bank account. So what we see here is that in 2020, the threat of fraud was slightly increasing compared to previous years, but the increase was rather low. It was like 15% compared to the previous year, and then 2021 happened, and what we saw, especially in the digital world, is was a huge amount of attacks on mostly natural persons, but also legal persons. And different types of fraud skyrocketed. It was investment fraud, romance fraud, fake invoices, phishing, wishing, smishing, all of it. I would also like to note that although fraud isn't the most latent crime, these numbers are not everything. So, for example, the Latvian bank, also the Finance Latvia Association. It was called the Bank Association a long while ago. They have compiled statistics on the fraud cases in the 4 largest Latvian banks, and their numbers are even more alarming. They have what they see in the 4 large retail banks in Latvia is that there are approximately 5,000 to 6,000 successful fraud attempts, and a similar amount of unsuccessful attempts in 2021. So this isn't even the whole picture, because not everyone goes to the police, and it doesn't always get registered. And the amount that was defrauded in these 4 largest banks was over 11 million euros last year. So what we see in the FIU, it's not as dramatic, but there is a reason for that. So we also receive suspicious transaction reports from obliged entities of the AML law, and what we have worked towards in this period has been to increase the quality of the STRs and to decrease the number of we can call them low value STRs, where there is not a lot we can do with these STRs. And while we have worked hard to decrease those numbers and to focus on the cases where we can add value with our FIU work, what we have seen, the numbers are still rising. And why I wanted to add this slide is to say that in 2022, it's still, the situation is still at a very high level compared to the previous years before 2021. We have seen a slight decrease in 2022, but it's still horrible when you compare it to the previous years before that. And so I've been asked to focus on the legal persons and the fraud that concerns legal persons. So as I mentioned, there are a lot of different types of fraud: investment fraud, romance fraud, fake invoices, different types of phishing with emails, calls, and messaging apps. And what we see is that natural persons are vulnerable to almost all of these. All of these. But legal persons, what we see, at least in our SDRs, is that they are most vulnerable to two types of fraud. They are both on the slides. So it's not rocket science. It's fairly simple. So what we see is in the case study number 1, which is a very typical SDR that we receive. We usually receive when the SDR when the money is already in the Money Mule account, or it has already exited the Money Mule account. But what happens to the legal person? So it receives a fake invoice from the fraudster that's allegedly from an existing service provider, and the only thing that's wrong there is the account number usually. And so the employee of the legal person, in good faith, they transfer the money to the wrong account. So it ends up in a Money Mule account, and then it is usually laundered in 3 different ways. So it's either transferred over to other financial institutions, cashed out immediately, or converted to virtual currencies. In a smaller amount of cases, it's they use it for their everyday purchases. So they're not the Money Mule; they are the perpetrator. But in most cases, it's very quick, and it's very quickly laundered, and the money goes elsewhere. And the case study number 2. So if the number 1 was fake invoices, then the number 2 is a classic phishing story. Why I chose this one? Because it's extremely cynical, I think, from the fraudsters. Because the NPO, it's an NPO that works with disabled persons, and they defrauded them of a rather large amount of money. So nothing is sacred to them. But how it happens? So the credit institution saw that they made a payment that is completely not in line with their profile. They just transferred more than 10,000 euros to a foreign natural person, and so credit institution naturally started to look into it. What's behind this payment? Why are they making this payment? And the next day they received a request to cancel the payment. And as it turns out, they have gained the access to the account of this NPO with a phishing scheme. So these are the 2 most prevalent types of fraud cases that target legal persons that we see in the FIU. And although I do not have a perfect solution to both of them, I have 2 tips for case study number 1 and case study number 2 that a legal person as an organization could do to make it less vulnerable to these. So the first one, of course, is to not become a victim of fake invoices, is to pay attention to details and check twice. To check the email addresses, the account numbers, the web page you're on, and of course to use the channels that you have available to do the checking, to call the colleague, to call your partner, your business partner, and to see whether these details have really changed. So again, it's very simple, but it can save you from becoming a victim of a fraud and losing large amounts of money. And for the second one, for the phishing attacks, so what we have in Latvia, it's a DNS firewall, and it's available at the web address I have listed here. So it is developed by our digital security agency. I don't know the exact name for CERT.LV, but you get the idea. And it's developed in cooperation with the Latvian domain register holder. and it's a free of charge tool, charge tool that is updated daily with and protects its users and the organization from cyber threats such as fake bank pages, fraudulent trading platforms, virus spreading sites, and more. So of course it won't protect you from everything, but it's a good firewall, and it's a good product that they work to improve daily. And as an individual internet user, I probably would not be able to install this. So it's especially useful for organizations who have the IT specialists who have the know-how how to install this on an organization level. So that's all from me today. Thank you for your attention.